All right, we'd like to call this meeting of the West Allis-West Milwaukee School District to order, please. If we could please rise for the pledge. And Mr. Lee, would you please lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Suzette, could we do the roll, please?
Yes. Mr. Lee.
Here.
Mr. Bailey's excused. Mr. Sikich.
Present.
Mr. Schultz.
Present.
Mrs. Jestem. Here. Mr. Keller.
Here.
Mr. Eustrup.
Here.
Ms. Klug, I believe is on her way. And President Emmons.
Here. Proper notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the open meeting laws of the state of Wisconsin. Do we have any additions or modifications to tonight's agenda?
I have no changes.
9.3.
Or that, we'll get to that when we get there, yeah. Okay, and then we'll move on to item 6, our public comments. And there are no public comments for this evening, so then we'll move on to item 7, the superintendent's report.
Great, thank you. So we'll start with 7.1, report from West Allis Central High School. Our student representatives are here, so take it away.
Good evening, school board members and district administrators. We are excited to share the great things that have happened at Central since our last time seeing you in December. With an athletic update, our student athletes are approaching the end of winter athletic season and moving into their conference tournament and postseasons. Our swim team and wrestling teams competed in their conference tournaments this past weekend and are looking forward to beginning their playoff season this week. You can catch the West Allis Wave Divers competing in schedules on Friday evening at Greenfield and the Wave Swimmers on Saturday afternoon, also at Greenfield. On Saturday at the E.H. Steck Fieldhouse, the wrestling team hosts the WIAA Regionals with competitions kicking off at 9:30 a.m. Looking forward to the weeks ahead, our girls hockey team will begin their playoffs with regional action on Thursday, February 20th, or Friday, February 21st. On Tuesday, February 25th, the girls basketball team will begin their playoffs at a location to be determined. The West Allis/DSHA gymnastics team begins their playoff with sectionals on Friday, February 28th, and an all-day event at Burlington High School. Our boys basketball team begins their playoffs on Friday, March 6th, and from two Bulldogs who are all of our big fans here, we look forward to seeing you supporting our classmates and peers at one of their upcoming Bulldog athletic events. Visit woodlandconference.org and click on the West Allis Central School calendar in the upper right corner to view the latest Bulldog athletic schedules.
Door decorating. Central's annual door decorating competition took place the 2 weeks before winter break, with dozens of advisories participating. Door decorating ranged from heartwarming to humorous, including a pizza-themed Merry Christmas door, a Principal Taylor and his elves door, and several Polar Express-themed doors. Students and teachers enjoyed creating their doors and the friendly competition experience on judging day. This year, we welcomed many esteemed judges, including some of our very own district administrators. Teachers and students look forward to next year's competition already. Semester exams. Semester 1 exams took place January 1st through January 23rd. Both students and teachers were eager to end their semesters on a high note. While many teachers offered traditional exams, others offered projects as ways to demonstrate student content and skills mastered. For example, students in Mr. Lukomsky's business class created Shark Tank-style business proposals, and AVID classes created projects about high school and post-secondary planning to share around the building. Now all students, especially seniors, are looking forward to succeeding second semester.
The third annual Bulldog Expo took place on January 22nd. 250 eighth graders from all three intermediate schools in its district attended to learn about sports, programs, clubs, and all of Central's offerings to students. Before the expo, students learned about the choices and then chose sessions to attend based on their interests. In total, students attended 3 sessions on sports or programs they're interested in, including art, AVID, engineering, career and technical education, AP classes, theater, music, and more. After spending more time getting to know coaches and teachers, students then attended a huge club fair with more than 35 club offerings at Central. 8th graders even picked up some Bulldog gear, and Ms. Garlowski wants to thank everyone who helped to make this day a success, and looks forward to welcoming students to West Allis Central next year.
Test Fest and Dodgeball Tournament. On Monday, Central held its annual Test Fest for all students. Freshmen, sophomores, and juniors all completed a practice ACT in order to get used to test taking. Because the ACT impacts college admissions and our state record card score, it's important to give our students any experiences taking it before all the students take it their junior year. The seniors, most of whom already completed the ACT at least once already, worked on practice UW placement tests, FAFSA job applications, and more. At the end of Test Fest, Central held the dodgeball tournaments. Though this was the first dodgeball tournament after Test Fest, we definitely hope it's not the last. Students created teams who played against each other in a tournament and accumulated in winning student team playing the winning teacher team. We had 20 teachers who played dodgeball this year. Even students who didn't play were excited to watch, and many students hope that we'll have another dodgeball tournament this spring. Thanks for planning it, Ms. Hanson and Mr. Dolnick.
Central's bowling team has qualified for state this year with a record of 15-1. Huge congratulations to all the bowlers as we cheer them on at state at Wausau, March 6th, from March 6th to March 8th. And at the NHS Blood Drive, Central's National Honor Society is hosting its second blood drive of the year this Friday on Valentine's Day. We always have a large number of students who volunteer to donate blood, and this blood drive will be no different. This year, we secured several sponsors to provide snacks and incentives for students who donate, including passes to the Slits Audubon Nature Center and snacks from the Marcus Ridge Theater.
ACT test. On March 3rd, juniors at Central and across the state will take the ACT. Central's historically has excellent attendance on ACT Day, which we attribute to the fact that students are able to choose which teacher they'd like to take the ACT with. This eases students' anxiety about this important test. We hope to improve our school's ACT score this year. Black History Month. February is Black History Month, and both teachers and students, take time this month to educate on contributions from African Americans in the United States. Advisories are participating in door decorating events, and English classes created information sheets with biographies of important African Americans.
Thank you. Any questions for our students? All right, thank you guys so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Have a great next couple of weeks.
Do you want this?
Okay, we'll go on to 7.2, the legislative update. At the state level, consumer price index for next year is set. So that's the Wisconsin Department of Revenue has advised that the Wisconsin Employment Relations Commission that the CPI increase applicable to one-year collective bargaining agreements with a term beginning on July 1, 2020 is a maximum of 1.81%, so it's a little lower than this year. Special legislative session. Governor Tony Evers is holding a special session regarding $250 million of Wisconsin's anticipated budget surplus. He wants to recommit to 2/3 state funding for K-12 education, boost funding for special education and school-based mental health, and provide $130 million in property tax relief through equalization aid. The session comes as GOP legislative leaders are leaning toward cutting taxes with the entire $452 million in anticipated budget surplus. So obviously, we're going to be advocating for support for schools. And then bills related to reading instruction and dyslexia. The Assembly Education Committee was scheduled to hold a public hearing on 7 bills related to reading instruction and dyslexia. Those bills have been pulled from the agenda. Well, another bill has been added. Assembly Bill 849, authored by Education Committee Chair Representative Jerry Thiesfeld and Senator Alberta Darling, expands the part-time open enrollment program and renames it the Course Choice Program. The expansion would bring in additional educational institutions and expand the number of grades that may participate from just high school to grades 1st through 12th. And then at the federal level, during the State of the Union address, President Donald Trump used his address Tuesday to urge Congress to greenlight a plan that would provide federal tax credits for scholarships to private schools and other education services, offering the largest stage yet for one of his administration's key education priorities. The next step forward in building an inclusive society is making sure that every young American gets a great education and the opportunity to achieve the American dream, Trump said. Yet far too long, countless American children have been trapped in failing government schools. So we'll watch that one to see where that goes. But it essentially expands, potentially it might become a national kind of choice system. We're on to 7.3, district recognitions, and there's a bunch here today. Franklin Elementary School, Corey Schaefer and Beth O'Connor were recognized by Apple Podcast with a 5-star review for their podcast advertising Stories from 86th Street. And if you haven't listened to this yet, I'd really encourage you to, because these are 5 and 6-year-olds that are running their own podcast, and that little news story Spectrum One did. So some of this work is really taking off. At Pershing Elementary School, Adrienne Spangenberg and her 5th grade students completed a project-based learning unit and built a hot cocoa stand. They researched what people prefer with hot chocolate, collaborated on advertising, sent invites, decided on a menu and prices, worked through creating work schedules and a playlist, built and painted their stand, researched and decided on a charity to donate money, and finally sold their hot cocoa. The students had a goal to raise $250, but far surpassed it, making $912.55. All the money was donated to the Wisconsin Humane Society. At Wilson Elementary, members of the West Allis Fire Department and Empower Credit Union donated winter clothing and toys to Wilson families in need. And Lisa Erickson is one of only 40 applicants selected to attend the Teacher Leaders Summer Institute at the Minnesota History Center in St. Paul, Minnesota. At James E. Dotke, Bernie McCarthy's students presented a student-run business idea to our district's Shark Tank panel and were awarded the funds for a glow forge. This equipment helps students produce projects. Erin Hansen Baisley has a group of students working with Horace Mann Elementary School to create a mural. Angela Wardlow's Phoenix Graphics t-shirt business is up and running and already has many satisfied customers. Ron Tagenmeyer works with Dotke's Phoenix Cafe, so it's our student-run coffee shop. The group expanded offerings to include smoothies and shakes. Mr. T also received a sizable donation to help students open a bicycle repair shop. And that bicycle repair shop is actually going to be a level 1 Trek certified. They're donating the equipment about $25,000 worth, and they're going to train our kids. So it's a pretty exciting opportunity. And then Phil Fromm received a refurbished bass guitar from the Guitar Chief, a business partner that refurbishes guitars and donates them to Dotke. Then at Shared Journeys, Lisa Cola developed a community partnership with Generation of Excellence. This partner will be involved in the Aurora Community Baby Shower. A group of students designed t-shirts that will be worn at Shared Journeys events. And pen owner Beth Giacobasi, along with Coda, our therapy-trained dog from Pets Helping People, will begin a regular schedule starting in February. And then from Leadership and Learning, as part of their Girl Scout Silver Award, Girl Scout Troop 8168 raised money for our West Allis-West Milwaukee School District's music program. The troop has students that attend Frank Lloyd Wright Intermediate School and Mary Queen of Saints Catholic Academy. The district spelling bee was held on January 30th, 2020 at West Allis Central High School. So congratulations to our top 6 spellers. Abigail Schweisberger, grade 5 from Jefferson. Ethan Plyer, grade 6, Lane Intermediate. Sean Rivera, grade 8 from FLW. Max Maltezos, grade 5, Horace Mann Elementary. Anvesha Deo, grade 5, Irving Elementary. And Lorenzo Allen, grade 4, Mitchell Elementary. These top spellers will compete in the CISA 1 Regional Spelling Bee on February 18th, 2020 at CISA 1 in Pewaukee. The event starts promptly at 6:30 and will conclude approximately at 8:30. And then finally, our 2019 Education Foundation Awards. I'm not going to read all of these, but special thanks to the West Allis-West Milwaukee School District Education Foundation for awarding over $19,000 in grants. And also special thanks to teachers and leaders who contribute to the United Way. That's the primary source of foundation funding. And you can see the list of things, a lot of which is, additional materials for classrooms, and in particular, the kind of things that support project-based learning. So we're encouraged to see those kind of requests come in and to have the resources to support them. And then 7.4, just some updates. There were no public comments at the January 27th meeting, so nothing to follow up there. This Thursday, Beth and I will be participating in the census kickoff, so we're doing some support with the city. And even trying to figure out, we have our translation stations, at all the front desks in schools, so if somebody needs a Google Translator, we're also gonna do some support so secretaries know how to get to the census website if families don't have internet access at home and they want to come into a school to be able to complete the census. Today, Deidre, Sabely, Laura, myself met with the new West Allis Health Commissioner. That's a couple more of the staff from the health department. So it was a productive meeting. We want to do more collaboration with them. We talked about more data sharing because we want to get more localized data. And we also think there's opportunities to engage them directly with students, so a learning opportunity. Then earlier today, we had our first facility, the advisory planning team, so the administrative planning team for the facility planning process. So that included a number of senior leadership, but then also a whole bunch of the architects, the construction management firms. So the folks were here from Bray and from C.G. Schmidt. It was a productive meeting, about 2 hours, and the next step, they're going to now map out the whole process, and a timeline that really starts to move this thing along. So kind of excited to see that, and it was really Steve Eichmann pulling that together and starting to get the wheels turning. And then this week, we'll have the last strategic plan leadership team. They'll be meeting on Thursday. Melissa's here to do some finalizing of goals and strategies, and then we're ready to bring that back to the board. And that concludes my update. Oh, I didn't jot that one down. We have one more State of the Schools presentation. That's Wednesday evening. That one will be at Lane. Those have been going well. We're not getting the kind of angry, hard questions that we were getting last year and the last couple times we went out and did community presentations. So I think people are getting a little more comfortable with where we are. They definitely like to hear about the new work. We're using that Franklin video, and I think that's well received. And in the very first one we did at City Hall, a guy stood up that a year earlier kind of pushed back pretty hard, and when he started to stand up, I was like, uh-oh, here he comes. And his comment was, "This is really cool. Can I register again?"
Yeah.
Like going back to school. So we're like, okay. So learning to tell the story, and I appreciate Stephanie being a part of the presentations where you can make it. And then we'll do the final one is in March for all teachers when we have that PD day. So then we do a little customized version of it. But turnout hasn't been great. We're 30 to 40 people at each. So I think we want to talk about, are there other venues even to take it into, like a West Allian and do a 20-minute version, so that we maybe get in front of more of our actual parents with the information. Good, thanks.
All right, we'll move on to item 8, the review of the board calendar. All right, so tonight, February 10th, we have a regular Board of Education meeting, and immediately following that, we do have a workshop, and then we have a closed session meeting, and then we do not have a workshop on Monday, February 17th. We will have on February 24th, starting at 6 p.m., we have a regular Board of Education meeting. And then on March 9th, starting at 6 o'clock, we have a regular Board of Education meeting, and then immediately following a workshop on enrollment and staffing and budgeting projections for 2020 and 2021. Do any board members have any community events or anything to update? No?
Yes, I was able to attend the PTA Carnival that was held yesterday during the requisite snow that we were going to get during the PTA Carnival. So it was still very well attended, and all of you received, the board members received an email from my wife, who's also the PTA president, kind of explaining what happened and all the events that happened. We had over $3,000 was raised for the PTA Scholarship Fund. There was over 60 pounds of food that was donated, and there was also quite a few clothing items and personal hygiene use items that were donated for community closets and or for shared charity. So it was a very successful event.
Anybody else? All right, then we'll move on to the consent agenda for the evening. We have 3 items on the agenda tonight. Item 9.1, the approval of minutes from the January 27th, 2020 regular Board of Education meeting. Item 9.2, the employment summary, and item 9.3, the supplementary contracts. Does anyone need anything separated? Mr. Schultz?
9.3.
All right, we'll separate out 9.3. Anything else that needs to be separated? If not, we'd look for a motion on 9.1 and 9.2.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, 9.1, 9.2. Any additional comments or questions? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, and then we have item 9.3.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and approved. Any additional comments and questions? And we have one abstention. All right. Then all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you very much. All right, we move on to our action items for this evening. Item 10.1, the approval and the review of the revised 2020-2021 school calendar for staff. Dr. Leffler.
Yes, thank you. So the second page of the executive summary probably explains this best. And what we've been doing the last few years is taking the back-to-school work days for teachers and the PD days, and it happened a little bit accidentally the very first time that it got split into 2 weeks with a long weekend before students come back to school. And we got really positive feedback about it, so we did it again this year. And then when we produced the calendar and we were looking at it a few weeks ago, and we went, oh my God, we forgot to do that. To spread those dates out. So before we brought it back to the board for consideration, we thought, well, let's do a quick survey to see, is the anecdotal feedback, is that supported? But with 433 responses, and the vast majority of the teachers want to change the calendar so that it does split out and there's a long weekend before students come back. So that's option A. Option B would be keeping it exactly as is. And so we think that's just a better way to kind of roll into a school year. So then there's a long weekend before the 1st, which is our first day of school, and then there's Labor Day. So kind of a soft start to a school year, and we think it's been working for us.
Yeah, it's an unusual calendar this year because we start before Labor Day, which, is atypical for us. So when we looked at it the first time, I think we sort of missed that because we're usually looking for those days right around Labor Day.
Because the recommendation is the option A.
Correct.
The long
Yes,
weekends. Okay.
which is, again, like Marty said, the way we've been doing it for the last couple of years, and people mention it to me all the time that it's positive feedback, so we just wanted to verify with the survey.
Great. Any comments, questions? Now we'd look for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any additional comments or questions? Now all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great, that passes. Thank you for that. All right, and we move on to item 10.2, the co-op renewal for girls gymnastics.
Yep. So the board has seen these before. It's gymnastics is up. So this is West Allis Hale, West Allis Central, and Divine Savior Holy Angels. It is in the Hale Conference because that's where that's the contact school. So they play within that conference in the greater metro.
Comments or questions? If not, we'd look for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any additional comments or questions? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes. All right, that concludes the action items, so we will take a 5-minute break as we get ready for our workshop. We're at recess.